And media. As consumers, we are bombarded by it at every turn, like the Incredible Hulk being bombarded by gamma rays. But what makes some media endure, while others are banished to the forgotten black hole of obscurity, never to be heard from again? Who or what decides this? Hetero life mates Steve and Yahel want to know, and they want to know now. This is Obscurity Now. And what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Obscurity Now, the show where we take a look at nearly forgotten pieces of media, movies, TV, video games, comics, and decide if they should be remembered until the end of time or tossed into the black hole of obscurity. My name is Steve, and I'm one of your hosts, and with me is a guy who never got steroids from Hulk, as far as I know. It's...
Your Santa angel baby, Yahel. How are you doing, Steven?
I'm doing well, man. As I told you, burning the candle on both ends. It's just been a really busy week, but not so busy that I don't have time to sit and talk to you about another Hulk Hogan movie. I feel like that's like a specialty for this show, Santa with Muscles.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I had a busy week, busy weekend. Also doing a little bit of burning the candles at both ends, but for good, fun reasons. So
Sure.
I am great. I am, as usual, as I said last week, feeling effervescent.
That's his
zesty,
word. Yeah, that's like...
And I'm feeling very palatable.
Yes, well, hopefully the audience is, I don't know, moving you around on their palates in their ears or something. I don't know. That's getting weird.
On their forklifts.
Yes, or with their eyes if they're watching.
I don't want to get into the details, but I've had a lot of forklift related things in my life over the last week.
What? That's so bizarre.
Yeah, there's just been a lot of forklift puns, and I know someone who just got their forklift operator's license this week.
Good for them.
And yeah, there's just been a lot of forklift, a lot of forking around, as they say.
Well, I guess enough forking around over here. Before we get too deep into Santa with Muscles, first off, I guess Merry Christmas, if that's a thing that you're into. This is...
thank you for ending the war on Christmas, Steve.
Hey,
thank you for ending it just now. You did it.
From what I understand, it's kind of made up, but yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, but it seems like Christmas has been going pretty strong since I was born, no one was going to be stopping it anytime soon. At least, especially the American corporations. I don't think they're going to allow Christmas to be stopped anytime soon. Especially if they've got a guy like Hulk Hogan on their side as running around as Santa. This is like, I don't know, volume 3 or episode 3 of our Christmas content. We started it out with Chainsaw Reindeer, which is a really sort of bizarre comic from 2 episodes ago, if you want to check that out. And then after that was the Claymation Christmas special. And then now, here we are with Santa with Muscles. So I assume you're, is this part of your like regular like holiday tradition? Because this was the first time I'd ever seen this thing.
Oh, I am so glad to hear that you had never indulged, if you will. I've watched Santa with Muscles every Christmas for... I don't know, like 5 years or so.
Wow. So you didn't see it when you were like a kid, like back when you were a little Hulkamaniac.
No. So I had no nostalgia heading into it when I watched it. So I watched it with virginal eyes, Santa angel baby eyes. That's a reference within the movie. If you have your fellow Santa maniac, Santa muscle maniac.
Oh man.
I have watched this movie frequently. I almost, to be honest, Steve, almost didn't watch it because I know it so well. Like, and I was running a little short on time, and I was like, I don't really need to watch it. But you know what happened?
What happened?
I wanted to watch it for the fucking like 10 times in my life.
His heart grew like 3 sizes too big, and
but that's because of the steroids that my heart grew.
His enlarged heart and forehead. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Before I wanted to, I don't know, say that you were somehow involved with Brutus the Barber Beefcake, but I just couldn't make it work. Anyway, yeah, let's run the bumper and get right into Santa with Muscles.
Sounds great.
Welcome to your feature presentation.
All right, here we are at the Obscuritron. There are various images here from the beautiful, and by beautiful I mean ugly, cinematography of one
Steve,
Santa
how
with
dare
Muscles.
you? How effing dare
Hey, I mean, I didn't, spoiler alert, there are things that I do or did actually enjoy about this, but man, the cinematography is not one of them, let me tell you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the directing in general is pretty, I wouldn't say it's terrible, but it's very...
No, it's bad.
I would say it's doing the bare minimum in most cases. There are occasionally some shots where I'm like, did they got a helicopter for this, or a big like expensive crane shot?
Right.
Like there's a few times where I'm like, what?
Right.
But yeah, it's pretty paint by the numbers as far as directing goes. Although I will say I did find someone described the directing as let me pull this up here.
I can't wait.
Working from an irredeemably this is a review from this film critic Layton from the Time. Anyways, he wrote, working from an irredeemably bland screenplay, John Murkowski directs with all the enthusiasm of someone going through the motions to pay off a debt.
Ooh, that's good. That is actually pretty good. So this movie actually premiered November 8th, 1996. And as we discussed, neither of us had seen it. I think at this point in at least my Hulkamania stage, I wasn't really interested in watching Hulk in like a kid's movie at least. And at this point, he's already in WCW as a heel, right?
Yeah, because I think he came into WCW like 95 or 94, something like that. And 96 was when he turned at Bash at the Beach. So,
right.
Yeah, he's already in WCW at this point for sure.
Yeah, so, I mean, I enjoyed heel Hollywood Hogan, I'm sure as much as anyone else did. And yeah, I just wasn't interested in seeing him playing Santa Claus with a bunch of kids. How about, I mean, do you remember hearing inklings about this back in your wrestling mark phase?
No, I didn't hear anything about this movie. It was only on in theaters. It did get a theatrical run for 2 weeks.
Right.
So it probably didn't have a very large
that way
marketing budget.
It could be eligible for the Oscars because
Actually, this is so the Oscars are eligible to vote for it. You've got it the other way around, Steve.
Right. Well, here's a quick, rather bland synopsis that I got off of IMDb, and it doesn't even make any sense. Anyway. An evil millionaire believes he is Santa Claus after an accident renders him an amnesiac. Actually, and that's it. That's all they got. And it's like, evil? Like, I wouldn't call...
Yeah, he's not...
What is his name? Blake Thorne?
Yeah, Blake
Hulk
Thorne.
plays Blake Thorne, and he's not an evil millionaire. And yeah, I mean, that's one of the many problems.
I mean, he's a dickhead.
Sure. Yeah.
More than anything.
I mean, it's not like he has like or at least that we saw. It's not like he's got like child labor camps or anything like that.
No. But he does treat his employees very poorly. And he's a general dick. He doesn't want to donate to the orphanage. He doesn't want to give him money. So instead, he's like, send him those carbohydrate bars that aren't selling. Because Blake Thorne sells supplements. And then he says, oh, and don't forget, Chaz, to write it off, the taxes.
Right.
We do have somebody in the chat here, Kman847, who said, what you going to do further when these 27-inch pythons run wild on you? But this is when Hulk Hogan was off the gas, actually. So
I could tell.
he's a little deflated, but I mean, even like deflated, Hulk Hogan is still like a fucking
monster. Oh, he still
looked
great. He looked great, especially.
Yeah, I actually prefer Hulk Hogan in WCW when he like leaned out when he got off.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
More nimble, not nimble, but maybe more less. How would you?
Meaty.
He moved less like a ladder.
A ladder. I mean, I was gonna say less like a slab of beef, and I don't know, more.
That works too.
As you said, more leaned up and sexually virile. One could only assume.
Yeah. You assume his sperm count improved during this time.
We'll have to ask Mila Kunis. Maybe she knew.
Wait, what? She was a child here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it happened later after she became an adult.
This is Mila Kunis's film debut, by the way.
Yeah. We'll get to her in a second. Okay, so all right. Wow, this has already gone off the rails, and I love it. Okay, already mentioned by Yahel, our director here is John Merlowski. And his IMDb reads like I mean, I wouldn't even say a greatest hits of B movies, but like just like B to Z grade. And I picked a few of them out here. Amityville, A New Generation. I think we might need to put that one down on the list. Cop Dog. And this is the best sounding one, I have to say.
Cop Dog. Finally, we've solved the social issue of like, society's struggle with cops. Just don't have dogs that are like additional like helpers to cops. Have just dogs be cops.
I know. Yeah. Like, wow. Give it up for John Merlowski, ladies and gentlemen. And lastly, Zombie Hamlet. And then here's where I think that shows really where things fell apart with this movie is the writing credits. We've got 3 basically nobodies. They're actors, and this is their only writing credit. So first we've got
that. Wait, 3. So that didn't. So wait, 3 different people wrote the script,
or either they worked together, or it was passed around like a doobie or something. I got 3 people on here. Jonathan Bond, no relation to James Bond, because that's not even a real person. He was, I guess, has like a bit part in like Bill and Ted or something. No other writing credits. Then we have Fred Matta. Not even. It just says he's an actor. It doesn't even say what he was in. No other writing credits. And then this other guy, Dory Crum, Krum, Dory Crum Raymond, and like nothing.
What a name, though.
Yeah, that is kind of
DCR. Get out of here. That's great.
It's DKR, Donkey Kong Raymond. Yeah, and it doesn't even say he's an actor. It just said this was like his own, known for Santa with muscles. And I can say that this definitely feels like it was written by 3 different people. What do you think?
I could see that because there's a lot of like random ideas. Then it all end up kind of intermingling and intertwining eventually. So yeah, I guess I can see that. Yeah.
And lastly are just a couple of the production companies, in case you want to write them a letter and ask them what they were doing.
Well, that would require for them to still be around and active and have employees.
Exactly.
I'm sure they're all been disbanded long ago.
Sure. Hit Entertainment and Cabin Fever Entertainment. All right, so would you like to take the cast, Mr. Velazquez?
Would I like to take the cast? So I would describe this cast as surprisingly star-studded.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? I mean, obviously you've got Hulk Hogan. I'm going to kind of jump around in the cast because at one point it would be easier for me to tell you who has not been in Star Trek on this cast. This was, and I knew like of several of them already, but there were even more than I realized.
Wow.
So, anyways, we've got Hulk Hogan, obviously. And actually, I guess I pretty much have to start going into the Star Trek people because, Mila Kunis, this is her film debut. She was not in Star Trek.
Nope.
Although she was in American Psycho 2, which co-starred William Shatner.
What? So, he was in that?
There's that?
Oh, that's so weird. I've never actually watched it. And can I say I was actually pretty surprised to see her in this. because I never thought that she had been acting for so long because, she's not very good.
Is anybody acting in this?
I mean, Hulk is doing his quote-unquote style of acting, and Clint Howard, I mean, he always brings the goods.
Yeah, he's good, yeah. So Clint Howard's in this, Grant Morris, Jennifer Paz, who she's gone on. She has a pretty lengthy IMDb. I think it was mostly voiceover stuff. But let's get into some of these Trekkers. Okay. So I'm going to start off with the two least important. There's Eddie Donno and Brian J. Williams. They both do stunts in Stand Up with Muscles, and they both also did stunts in Star Trek First Contact. We've got, here comes our Star Trek connections. Ed Bagley Jr., who is he's been in a bunch of stuff. You've seen him in Arrested Development. It's probably my favorite role of his. My second favorite role of his, though, is as Henry Starling in the Star Trek Voyager two-parter, Future's End, Part 1 and 2.
Wow.
We have William, and Ed Bagley Jr. kind of plays the bad guy. He's like an evil scientist.
I think he does an actual pretty good job.
Yeah. I would say so too. William Newman, who plays Chaz, the butler. He was Kalen Trost on the TNG episode The Host. Clint fucking Howard. You know him as a superb character actor. He's the brother of Ron Howard. He was in the original Star Trek series as a child, and he's voiced over. So he has lines, even though he's like, I don't know, he looks like he's like 6 years old, but he has lines. But they're like, he's supposed to be like some kind of like alien, and his lines are like dubbed over by an adult or something. It's really weird.
That is weird.
Anyways, he was Baylock on Star Trek, the original series. He was also Muck, M-U-K, on Star Trek Enterprise. He was Grady on Deep Space Nine, Past Tense Part 2. And most recently, he was on Star Trek Discovery as an Orion drug dealer. Then we've got Don Stark, who he's also been in a bunch of stuff. In Stand Up with Muscles, he stars as Lenny, who's kind of he's the elf that kind of like takes advantage of Blake Thorne losing, aka Hulk Hogan, losing his memory. You may have seen him as Ashrock in the Deep Space Nine episode Melora, or as Nikki the Nose in Star Trek First Contact. Then we've got Robin Curtis, who she was in a lot of stuff too, like in the 90s and early 2000s. She was in Star Trek 3 and 4 as Lieutenant Savick. She took over the role for Kirstie Alley, who was Lieutenant Savick in Star Trek 2. Wow. She was also Talera in Gambit, the Star Trek Next Generation episodes Gambit Part 1 and 2. And that is, I am fairly certain, everybody that was in Star Trek in Stand Up with Muscles.
All right, here it comes.
Oh no! We've just entered another Star Trek connection.
Well done, man. Your love of Star Trek knows no bounds.
Yeah, I even found the stuntmen. One of them did the stunts for Brent Spiner, a.k.a. Data. So one of them was, I guess, a more important stuntman than the other.
Very cool. And yeah, we will comment on their performances as we dive through the outline of the movie. And so I guess let's just get right down to it. We open on a creepy-looking house. And with the voiceover of one of the young actresses. She's so bad. Oh, my gosh.
Dude, and did you notice that, like, in the opening credits? By the way, let's talk about these opening credits. So the lower thirds, saying, like, the credits, the actors, they're, like, it starts off, like, well, it uses like a red font, and it's red on red. It's like on a red Santa, and then the font is red, and the font they use is like real thin, the typeface. So you can basically only make out the beginning of the name, like the first few letters, and maybe the last letter. Like, just you're in for a fucking ride.
They can't even get the font right. Yeah, my God.
Right, they didn't do anything to like make the. I get using red, but I don't know. Give it like a bold outline.
Yeah, a little outline.
There's things you can do to make it stand out.
So little girl. She's basically writing a letter to Santa. She's saying that there's a bad guy who lives in her neighborhood named Mr. Frost, who we find out later is our villain. and he's going to do something weird this Christmas. I don't know if those are her exact words, but that's what I wrote here.
Yeah, no, she says something like that. He's going to do something bad.
Yeah, something really vague.
Yeah. I'm surprised she didn't say something really vague.
Right.
He's going to do something vague.
Something vague is going to happen because we, the writers, don't know what we're doing. She says she lives in Lakeville, and Mr. Frost is trying to take away her orphanage, and she wants Santa to stop him. Like, that's so... Have you ever, when you were like 6 or like 8, were you ever like, "Dear Santa, please come and stop Saddam, because I want the soldiers in Desert Storm to come home safe"? Like, did you ever...
No, but just like, how desperate do you have to be like, fuck, I guess I got to reach out to Santa to save the orphanage?
Right,
like,
yeah. Like, already it's starting pretty...
depressing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But she says it, her voice is so cheery.
Oh,
and by the
I
way,
know.
the actress that plays her, she's gone on to do tons of voiceover work.
What?
So
man.
I wonder
Cartoon
if like her
characters,
voice
I
has
guess.
yeah, so I wonder if her voice has continued to be like high pitch and annoying as shit. Because yeah, she is just, the problem with her, it's not necessarily like her. She's just not a very good actress.
Right. She doesn't have a lot of range, or it's just all just one line. Yeah.
Right. And the opening credits say introducing like her, like hey, this is our, almost as if she's going to be the lead, and she ends up like not having as many lines as you would think, considering they like went out of their way to say introducing so.
Right. It was weird. Yeah, because it really, at times it felt like, oh, like she's like the Cindy Lou Who of this movie, to the Hulk being the Grinch, basically. But then we sort of like lose her, and she's kind of replaced with some of the other kids when they show up. Because then the kid from Malcolm in the Middle kind of takes center stage, like towards the end.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving forward, we cut to Hulk. Now, do you think he was wearing a hairpiece or just a bad dye job in this?
Oh no, that's 100% a hairpiece.
Okay, all right, just double checking here.
Yeah. Because he's got like a full head of hair in this.
Sure. He sneaks up on his. At the time, I was like a gardener or something, and like just beats him up and says, "Oh man, God, all right." As someone who I love, like cheesy, one-liners and action movie dialogue, the one-liners in this are just not good in the slightest.
I know,
They're
but that's what
awful.
makes them so good. And I do want to say hi to Neil Godfrey, who's in the chat here. Thanks for joining.
Neil,
but
what
yeah,
up?
I love the I don't know, I love the one-liners in this scene because the gardener, after he beats him up, he says, "Never stop." It's the delivery.
Never stop,
He says,
to smell the roses. Yeah.
But that's not how he says it.
No.
He says it like, "Never stop to smell the roses."
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's such a fucking odd choice of delivery.
Yeah. Then he gets attacked by a baker and 2 Asian stereotypes. Then another gardener, and Hulk takes them all out with a plate. And turns out these are all people who work for him, and he wanted them to attack him because he's really big into like fitness and always being ready. So he pays his staff at his mansion to I guess work him out, basically.
Yeah, he considers it like a workout. And sorry to interrupt again. I do want to say hi to Chris Perry. He's been here before. Really a good guy.
Welcome, Chris.
Say hello. He said I've never heard of this movie. Thought I knew all of the crappy Hulk movies, and there is a surprisingly large amount of them.
Yeah, tell me about it. That just means we're going to be doing this show for a long, long time.
yeah. Hulk Hogan's keeping the lights on.
Yeah. So let's see. All right. So Hulk, it's revealed that Hulk is a rich supplement CEO named Blake Thorne, and he has a bunch of dumb rules. What are they called? Blake's rules or Thorne's rules?
Yeah.
And as he's like pontificating about one of them, he gets a call from the office. And I don't know, I just wrote here that, wow, Hulk lives alone with all those dudes. Really makes you think. And then they go outside and to play paintball. And here it's just like, man, like we get one of 2 what looks to be very expensive like chase scenes that really have nothing to do with the story. So yeah, they go out to play paintball. They like, it's basically a motorcade of like Hulk like in a Hummer, and like these other dudes with paintball gear, and they're driving by, and then we cut to Clint Howard, who of course is like a wacky. He's basically a super trooper.
Sheriff.
Yeah, super trooper before they were even super troopers. He's playing with his police radar, and Hulk and his motorcade sort of speed by, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get that Blake guy."
Yeah, because basically they do this elaborate paintball scene where Hulk Hogan's like shooting like paintballs at shit. And the whole point of it is only to get Hulk Hogan chased by the cops so that Hulk Hogan can get to the mall.
Right.
So we can get Blake Thorne's character to the mall.
Right.
And it is like such a contrived way to like get him to the mall. It's so expensive,
and
like
ridiculous.
you said. In a movie that can't, this movie looks like it doesn't have a big budget. But maybe it does, because there's a couple scenes, like you said, that look expensive, had to be expensive at the time to shoot.
Right.
And they've got like a lot of name actors
for
the time.
Well, obviously they didn't spend money on the writers, and also
correct.
The cinematography, which is, I mean, I would describe it as like flat, just like the most basic. It's like, hey, we got ourselves an image. Like it never, I don't know, it almost. How would you describe it?
Non-existent.
Yeah, there you go. And the weird thing about this, and this is another thing, I guess it's not really related to cinematography, but just the fact that, okay, this is a Christmas movie. So even if you live in Florida, say like you, or California, like me, if you close your eyes and think of Christmas, you think of like snow and people, all bundled up, by the fire and drinking hot cocoa. This is so obviously shot, and actually it's shot in Calabasas in California, like outside in this like desert
it almost
setting.
Looks like they're in a desert. Yeah.
It doesn't feel Christmassy like in the slightest. They just went with whatever they could get. I guess that was
brother,
close.
once Hulk Hogan suits up, brother, I think I think that changes.
It'll warm your heart. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, brother.
So yeah, like, all right, so they sunk a lot of money into this ridiculous chase scene. I guess this really shows what I don't know, I guess kind of a dick Blake Thorne is, to the point where he's willing to just, mess with the cops and do whatever he wants, because he has
because he's like shooting paintballs at the
police
cops
officers.
And here's the thing, Blake Thorne, later we find out he's a well-known guy.
Right.
He's how does Lenny describe him? As the richest man in 10 states. Real weird. He's the richest man in a 10-state radius.
Oh man, I can't wait till we get to Lenny, because I have lots to discuss about that guy. So okay, all right, Hulk.
While you're catching up, I do want to say we've got Paul McCabe in the chat, and also D. Full head of hair. D said full head of hair Hogan. Oh, this should be good. I think it's good.
It's something. It is something. Another sort of important thing that happens during the expensive, ridiculous chase scene is Hulk sees a sign for the Lakeview North Pole, which I guess is supposed to be like a completely sort of separate town. And he volunteers the information to us that he grew up there. He says, "I'll lose him at Lakeview. I grew up there." I guess, he'll find a nice sand dune or cactus to hide behind or whatever.
I thought he said I thought he said that he would lose them at the mall, because doesn't he say like lots of places to hide there? Or maybe he was talking about Lakeview in general.
Yeah, I took it.
Maybe you're right.
Yeah, that's how. Yeah, I took it as he was talking about Lakeview in general. But
I don't think he says he grew up there, because later we find out he doesn't remember how he grew up.
Well, I think at this point he remembers. He just loses that information when he gets his amnesia.
But even once he gets his memory back, like Garrett Morris has to explain to him that. Well, I don't want to give any spoilers yet.
All right. So. Well, I wrote it down, so I think he said it, but I don't know. I've been wrong before. Anyway.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
No.
You don't care. I don't care. The writers don't care.
We'll keep approaching this the same way that the production team approached Santa with Muscles, as in
with the most minimal of effort.
Exactly. So cut to a mall. Right. The typical mall Santa setup awaits. There's a large line of kids, but no sign of Santa. A blonde lady speaks into a walkie-talkie, and she's like, "Any word on Mr. Klaus?" And then I wrote, it looks like they shot this in the shittiest looking California town. And it turns out it's true, although Calabasas is actually pretty nice. I guess they just picked the worst parts to shoot in. So Hulk rolls out with his Humvee while... Oh, yeah. God, that was so weird. So Hulk says another one of Blake's rules. They're in the Humvee. They're getting chased by the cops. And he's like, Blake's rule number 3942B. Like, when in doubt, roll out. And he just opens the door of the Hummer and just rolls away. Like, I mean, do you think he just wanted to show off, like, some of his, like, stunting ability or something?
That's the thing. Hulk Hogan definitely didn't do his own stunts for this.
It looked like he did the role, at least. It looked like he did the role.
He might have done that, but I don't know. I have my doubts because in some of Hulk Hogan's other movies that he made around this time, there's one called the Super Secret Agent Club or something like that. And there's a scene where literally Hulk Hogan is just sprinting about 20 feet and he doesn't even do it himself. You can clearly tell it's a body.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I mean, that's probably because of his knees and stuff. But I do want to say D asked, was this direct-to-video or in theaters? Anyone know the box office performance? How many tens of dollars did they rake in? And actually, D, if you don't mind me interrupting, Steven, I do have that information.
Please.
As previously mentioned, it was in theaters for 2 weeks, and the film garnered $120,932 in box office receipts during its opening weekend, and totaled its total gross in its 2-week run ended up being $220,000. $198,000. So $220,000.
Nice. Yeah. So yeah, he says, when in doubt, roll out, and he just rolls out of a moving Hummer, which was heading to the mall. Now we're back inside the mall. The kids are chanting for Santa. Cut to the blonde lady. She's backstage talking to the elves, and she says that she will give one of them $50 if they go and find a Santa. Like, they never said why their current Santa never showed up, did they?
No, it's just left to the imagination. But the crazy thing is, like, Lenny is on a phone with, like, somebody he owes money to. And he makes it sound like, it's a bookie or somebody that's going to break his legs, right, if he doesn't pay them off. And we later found out the person he's talking to is one of Frost's, the main bad guy, one of his henchmen. But then when the lady says, I'll give $50 to whoever can find me a Santa, Lenny says, oh, my luck may be changing. I'm going to be able to pay off this. That's all he owes is $50.
Right.
Like, it's not like he owes it's not like he owes $220,000, the box office gross of this movie, So
someone owes somebody something. So we cut to Mr. Frost's personal doctor, and they're in there. They're torturing, I guess, one of the local shopkeepers by hanging him upside down, because I guess they're trying, because basically Mr. Frost is buying up the town of Lakeview for some reason. We don't know at this time. Later, we do find out. I don't know. I don't know. Did you find torturing in a kid's movie to be a little unsettling?
I mean, but the torture is pretty mild. He's just hanging upside down, and they're just trying to get him to sell, like, his shop or whatever.
Right.
And later we'll find out the reasons why Frost is trying to buy up, like, all this land. And he really wants what's under the land.
And it really doesn't make much sense, but we'll get there. So Mr. Frost is Egg Begley Jr., LOL, haha. We meet his cartoony thugs. And these are the aspects of the scripts that I actually kind of liked. Just these over-the-top, like, Dick Tracy style villains. Even though, I mean, which I'm sure looked and sounded good on paper, but are just pulled off in, like, the campiest way possible. We got Mr. Flint, who dresses like an explorer. Mr. Vile, who sprays, like, methane gas into the air. And Miss Watt, who shoots electricity. So they...
they're very cartoony villains. I mean, this is a movie that's supposed to be targeted at kids.
Sure.
In all fairness. But yeah, pretty campy.
Yeah,
but you know what? I will say, in defense of the actors, they really lean in
to
the campiness of the parts. And like, there's the guy that's all about like sulfur and stinky smells or whatever.
Methane gas guy.
Yeah, the methane gas guy. Like, they really lean into it. So
sure,
I think it works despite the camp.
Right, and this is what I mean. The camp is what I like about it, and I like the idea, or almost the premise that Santa with muscles is gonna have to like fight these guys, and like already I'm seeing, fight scenes that aren't nearly gonna be as good as what we're gonna get like later on in the film. So okay, now we're back with Hulk. He's skulking around the mall, and he finds a Santa suit, like backstage. He's back in the, I guess the non-guest area of the mall, hiding from Clint Howard, which, why would you even need to hide? Like, you could just grab him, like, just throw him away, but it...
Well, to be fair, it's Clint Howard and another sheriff's deputy.
Sure.
Who seems even dumber than Clint Howard, though. However, they do have guns, and as we later find out, a fucking rocket launcher.
Oh, God. It's so bizarre. Oh man. So yeah, he finds the Santa suit, puts it on for, well, I wrote down here no reason, but I guess from the idea that he could use it to hide. I guess if you want to use like cartoon logic, then it makes sense. But yeah. I mean, really, it's like, you're a 6'2" muscled out Santa. I mean, who else could it be? Anyway.
But I mean, as far as disguises though, if you think about it, it covers up, because of the beard, a lot of the face.
Right.
Like, it covers up his body.
Right.
So it's a good idea, except when you're 6'2" and super fucking tame.
Exactly. So he runs into Clint Howard, and of course Clint doesn't recognize him. And then Hulk starts walking away. One of his or this whole time Hulk was wearing like army fatigues or camouflage, whatever you want to call it, and it's hanging out of the back of the Santa suit. Which the cops see him, but he runs away and hides in a garbage chute. Like, and the way that was shot was just amazing. He was just there, and then automatically he wasn't, and somehow into the chute. And while Hulk is hanging like in the chute, from upstairs, a janitor throws out a Santa statue, and it hits Hulk on the head, forcing him to fall down. And then that's when Lenny finds him, and he goes, another drunk mall Santa. And somehow, since he's knocked out, that entitles him to stealing his wallet and street clothes. Like, sometimes I'm like, one of the writers was like, they really are trying to sell this and like put a little bit of thought into it. But then I'm just like, I mean, why is... All right, my big question is, who thought, like, Lenny... What's his name again? The actor's name who plays Lenny? Don Stark?
Yeah, Don Stark.
Do you think, that guy would be, like, funny to kids? Like, he's so... I don't know. He's like this middle-aged, like, gangster Goomba, and he's not really funny. I mean, he's trying to act funny... but basically.
By the way,
what's up?
For people that don't know, because I was trying to think, like, do people know this Don Stark guy from? He was on that '70s show for, I think the whole run is Bob.
Oh yeah,
Pincati or whatever.
That's right.
So, I'm sure he and Mila Kunis reconnected over Santa with Muscles. And discussed it all the time on the set of that '70s.
You remember that time we acted with Hulk, Mila? Yeah, it was great. Yeah, I don't.
Chris Perry said, "I don't understand the hairpiece. Why even bother?" Yeah. I agree. It's unnecessary. We know it's Hulk Hogan.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's... I don't know.
He should have just wore his bandana the whole time. I mean, that's what he's been doing honestly, all this time.
This isn't the first movie that they give him a full hairpiece in either.
Right. He's like, maybe the people in, I don't know, Guam don't know who Hulk Hogan is, and he'll look like...
Maybe Hulk's like, brother, I can't get into this Blake Thorne character's head, brother, if I look like me, brother.
There you go. It was for acting reasons, for sure.
Yeah.
So basically I just think that Don Stark was an odd casting choice to play this lovable, sort of questionable rogue elf in a kid's movie. But anyway, He does like this ridiculous, after he steals Hulk's money and clothes, he does this like horrible dance that made me want to stab my eyes out. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And so
I don't know how I would describe.
I don't know. Just think of like, remember when you're, I don't know. I just remember when
it's like they told a middle-aged man, do a dance that kids would find funny, but it turns out this middle-aged man is not naturally funny at all.
Right.
So he just does something awkward, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah, he's like a got a creepy uncle vibe, I would say.
Yeah. Like he's not a bad actor.
No.
He's a good actor, but they have him just do some stuff that maybe doesn't play to his strengths at times. Is all.
Right, for sure. And I mean, and that's being really nice, I'd say.
Yeah. When he's being kind of like a schemy guy,
yeah,
like
he's good at that.
Hulk Hogan,
yeah.
like that's when he's good at that. Yeah.
So yeah, he does the like the dumb little dance, and then Hulk comes to, and let's see, and then of course, I would think that if I were Lenny and I just stole a man's wallet, I would run away, but no, of course not. Hulk has amnesia, even though there's no way Lenny would know that. And the elf tells him, or Lenny tells him, that he's Santa. So there's your premise, come to life. I don't know. Like, and this is the weird thing. It's like, all right, so you're supposed to believe that, Lenny is this elf, like a dude pretending to be an elf.
Like a mall elf.
Yeah. But,
he's a mall elf.
Right, but then at the same time, he's going around telling grown men that who he just robbed that they're Santa. Like, who does that?
Oh, he's trying to get the $50 for bringing back the Santa, I guess.
Oh yeah.
But he just got like this wallet full of money at the same time.
Right.
What do you care?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
But anyways,
we have to believe that he owes Mr. Frost more than $50. Otherwise, there's no reason for him to stick around this whole time, right?
But before, but before he was like, oh, my problems are solved. When the lady was like, I'll give 50. Like, how much are they paying him? How little are they paying him at this mall?
Right.
Anyways, whatever. Let's move forward because we're kind of going through it.
Sure.
I know it's sorry for everyone. It's taking a little while to get through, but this is a meat filled film.
It's a lot to wrap your head around. There's a lot of ins and outs and what have yous. So anyway, there's your premise. Lenny brings Hulk back out to the kids in the mall, and it's weird looking at Hulk with the beard and the hat. He really does make a good Santa, at least in the face, like I think.
Yeah.
I mean, the rest of it is, a little whatever. But I remember one of the kids looked like Billy Idol's kids. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like,
yeah.
Or maybe like Bart Simpson come to life. So while Hulk is doing his Santa thing, two thugs try to steal the money. Oh yeah, there's like there's a bunch of money on a table that it's like help save the orphanage or whatever to take donations. Of course, there's just an old lady sitting behind there like falling asleep. Two thugs come and they steal the money, and I love that one of them is wearing a Dare shirt. Like, I think that's hilarious.
Dare to keep kids off drugs.
Yeah, a little girl sees them, she screams, and Hulk leaps into action. And there is a pretty decent, if not campy, sort of like Adam West style Batman fight scene, and they sped up the footage for one of the moves, which I found.
They speed up the footage a lot in this film. Even like when actually later on, Lenny does like another little dance, and they like speed up the footage as he's doing. Maybe they were like, "This dance is so bad. Let's get through it quickly."
We got to get through this thing. By
the way, Chris Perry said that this movie gives Citizen Kane a run for its money, and obviously it's sarcastic. But I want to point out that in one of the critics said of Hulk Hogan's acting, this critic said. Hulk Hogan makes Arnold Schwarzenegger seem like Laurence Olivier.
Oh man, it's true. It's actually true. That's good.
Yeah, and Pixel Hero is here. Said Hulk was king of the VHS preview sections before you watched the film when you were a kid. Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
that's true.
Absolutely. So let's see here. Okay, so I wrote down nothing says Christmas, quite like Santa violently assaulting people in front of kids. But hey, it was the 90s. It was a different time. And of course, the kids love it. They're like, yay, Santa beat up the bad guys.
Kids love violence.
Sure, I know I do, or did.
I mean, you're a father. You see it. You see the lust for violence in your child's
He likes playing
eyes.
rough. He likes playing rough. So there's a picture of the orphanage on the table that Hulk just saved that had the money on it, and just out of nowhere, Hulk says we should go there now, and Lenny is in for the ride, I guess, because he still wants to keep milking Hulk for money. And then they
like he realizes like he had opened the wallet and saw it was Blake Thorne's.
Right.
And was like, oh, there's more juice to be derived from this leathery man fruit that is Hulk Hogan.
That's disgusting.
I'm very sorry.
No, I loved it. All right, so they get on a scooter and homoerotically ride off a frame.
As you do,
of course. Now we're back with Mr. Frost. His thugs are still torturing people, and he says the last place he has to buy in Lakeview is the orphanage. And then now, so he sends the thugs to the orphanage, I guess, again, because they've already been going there and hassling them to sell. I couldn't remember his name. I just kept calling him Weird Doctor Guy. He arrives at the orphanage with the pulp thugs, and he talks to the head of the orphanage and sexually harasses her while she's there. And she gives her gives him the old "in your dreams" and closes the door on them.
Right.
But the thugs, using their ice cream truck, which, man, that was some.
Why are they?
That was some nightmare fuel. It's like, why do they have one? It was like, did they know they were eventually gonna have to lure some kids out, or?
So maybe, but I think the reason why they have an ice cream truck is because later on at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, the good guys are going to win. But yeah. But anyways, the sheriffs are being interviewed about how they finally arrested Frost and his goons. So it seems like they're wanted by the law. So I think it's so that they have like some vehicle that hides them.
Right.
Because, there's no windows really outside of the driver's thing. So I think that's the main reason. And I also think that it makes sense, Steve, that Hulk Hogan, even though he's this amnesiac, this concussed person right now, I think that it makes sense that as Santa, he saw the sign for the orphanage and was like, oh, we have to help them, because subconsciously, he was
That's where he
raised
came
at the
from.
orphanage. He just can't remember it.
Yeah.
So he's got this desire.
Wow, you really have to think about this movie to make it work.
Maybe, Steve, maybe it's just going over your head.
Yep, I mean yeah. As a fan of David Lynch, I thought that was like, the most cryptic movies I could ever watch until I saw Santa with muscles.
Yeah, you got to say your prayers and take your vitamins before you watch this movie so that you can be in the right headspace.
A little more than just vitamins, if you know what I mean.
He's talking about steroids, guys, anabolic steroids.
Well, I mean, we all know that Bruce the Barber, it was his job to hold the weed, according to the podcast.
That's true.
But anyway, Hulk arrives on the scene just in time to stop the thugs from running over a crazed man in the ice cream truck. So yeah, as the thugs were driving away, who wandered out in the street? Oh, it was it's the African American guy. He was like
Garrett Morris. I can't remember his character's name, but
he was
Garrett. And dude, by the way, I fucking love Garrett Morris.
What else do you know him from?
He was in SNL. He was in I think he was in Martin.
One of those, or Rock, something like
Living
that.
Single. I can't remember which one, but I'm a big fan of. I think he was in Martin. I think he worked at the radio station that Martin.
Yeah, he's definitely too good for this movie. But
he's been in a bunch of, dude, he's still working.
Wow. Yeah.
He still has stuff coming out in 2020
So is this director. So is Hazeltine, or whatever his name is. He's still working too, strangely enough. But the writers, they ain't working no more.
And he was in Martin. He was Stan Winters in Martin.
Nice.
So yeah.
Okay, there we go. So yeah, they almost run him over in the ice cream truck. But Hulk stops it. He grabs a chain or something that was attached to the ice cream truck. The kids rejoice, and the little girl reveals herself to be the one from the beginning who was writing the letter. The head orphanage lady invites Hulk and Lenny to dinner. I wrote down, in some ways, Hulk was born to play this role. He just has to act confused and lost most of the time, at least at this point, which I think is perfect for him. Then we meet, the head of the orphanage, her name is Leslie, and Clayton was the name of the guy who almost got ran over by the ice cream truck. That's Garrett Morris. That's Clayton.
Yeah.
So
Clayton,
they tell him about Mr. Frost clearing out the neighborhood. Lenny forces Hulk to eat a cookie. And then I like the little sort of subtle nod where he's about to eat and he's like, oh no, I don't want to because of the calories.
Yeah. He's like, is this good for you?
Right. And then now it's nighttime. And they're at dinner. They're just finishing up dinner, and it's it's the typical sort of time lapse, and someone is telling a story, and they all sort of erupt in the fakest laughter I have ever heard in a movie. It's so forced and sad. It was like Hazeltine gave them one take. It's all right, we got to get this laughter scene in one take because we don't have time. We're running out of time. We're running out of daylight.
So we have someone in the chat, Gabber820, who I guess he saw the image in the slideshow of Hulk Hogan with his bad wig, and he said, "Is that Sean Connery?"
Oh.
No, it's not. No,
definitely,
it's not. The one and only Terry Bollea.
Straight out of Tampa. So Santa and Lenny, they end up staying the night, and at this point, I'm asking myself, doesn't Lenny have a family and friends that he could go hang around with? But I guess he's just so dedicated to bleeding Hulk dry of his money that he just has to hang around every day.
He wants to suckle at the teat of Hulk Hogan's bank account.
So yeah, he's the Brutus the Barber in this movie.
Who did you catch Brutus the Barber Beefcake's appearance in this movie?
No, where?
Oh man! Okay, so
I'm gonna have to watch it again.
It lasts 20 seconds.
So Hulk,
but it's memorable.
Yeah, well, he had to be on set to hold the,
hold the. Yeah.
So Hulk is in the bathroom, and he has to wear a tunic while Lenny wears a bunny suit. I guess they thought this would be a funny visual gag that these grown men.
Yeah, they were these are the only pajamas we have.
Right. We all know that Hulk sleeps in a thong. That's just common knowledge, right?
Right. That's what you do when you look like that.
So, time lapse, it's breakfast, and Hulk walks out without his beard and getup, and the kids are freaking out. And I don't know, I thought this was kind of somewhat almost clever, where he says he doesn't wear an actual beard because Mrs. Claus says it tickles.
Right.
Then they see Hulk on a cereal.
Like when he's
going down on her.
When he's going down on her? When he's
Jesus.
Was that what you were wondering as well?
Yeah, a little bit. I'll be honest.
Yeah. So now wait a minute. But he has a mustache.
Mm-hmm.
Does that not tickle?
That maybe they were writing this improv. They were just improving the whole thing. I don't know.
Kids are dumb.
Yeah. Stupid kids. They'll buy anything, including Santa with muscles. So they see Hulk on a cereal box, and then there's a weird homage to 2001: A Space Odyssey when Lenny gets the idea to steal Hulk's fingerprints from the milk glass.
Well, I think I don't think you mentioned.
I skipped
earlier.
over.
Lenny tries. So Lenny tries to use Hulk Hogan's ATM card. And this ATM from 1996 is so advanced that it requires a thumbprint to use. Which so that's part of the reason too why Lenny sticks around with Hulk Hogan, because he's trying to figure out a way to get the thumbprint to get access to the ATM.
They were trying real hard to justify him hanging around.
But at least they tried to justify. And with the cereal box thing, it's a cereal box from like, so I guess Blake Thorne, Hulk Hogan's character, it's like selling breakfast cereal, which
sure
is usually not healthy, but
oh, it was the 90s.
Unless you're using
knew?
Magic Spoon, and if you are, make sure to use code WWG.
They're not giving us any money. Come on, they're giving you money on your channel, but not here. But you tell them they want to sponsor Obscurity Now. We are up for sale. But yeah.
But anyways, so Lenny, because like he doesn't want Blake Thorne or anybody to like see the kind of put two and two together by seeing because it's not a picture of Blake Thorne, it's like a drawing of Blake Thorne.
Your typical.
So he like kind of takes the cereal, pours it all over his eggs, and it's like, oh, no more cereal, and kind of hides it under his arm. So.
Yeah, and which wasn't funny in the slightest. Like that's one of the big sort of negatives for this. Like it's supposed to be a comedy, but man, it is not funny. Not funny at all. I mean, it's so not
that
funny.
Is one man's opinion.
It's so not funny that it's funny. Like
there you go.
So yeah, I just wrote down here the little girl is so annoying. She tells Hulk that the Santa rules, which I'm like, wow, I've never heard of those. I guess they just made them up for this movie. And then little Mila Kunis makes her debut here in this scene. And then I wrote down, I can't believe she's been acting for so long since she's so bad. Anyway, she's the one who sews up Hulk's suit. Yeah, I forgot to mention earlier. I mean, that's why I guess they were in the pajamas, because they were having their clothes worked on.
Their suits repaired.
Yes. So we get the new suit, and of course it's got like the sleeves removed so we can see the pythons.
Yeah, she gives like some reason like to make it more maneuverable or something.
Right. It's like
and she took it in to make it more continental, she said. She just made it tighter.
Sure. And then out of nowhere, a reporter shows up, and I wrote that another problem is that just the energy, like in a lot of these scenes, is just so weird or just non-existent, with people just sort of standing around saying lines and no one really knowing how to like react to one another. Again, I blame the director for that. So yeah, after his interview, Hulk says there's a new Santa in town and he knows who's been naughty or nice, which is kind of funny. So interior, we cut to Dr. Frost. He says Santa Claus reminds him of someone. And that really pays off later. There are a few setups and payoffs in this script, so I will admit it.
Yeah.
And now Lenny is back at the ATM. He tries to use the milk glass to get the money, but the machine tells him it's the wrong thumb. Like, it has to be the left.
Yeah, it's so funny. The machine says, that is your right thumbprint. We need your left, which I actually thought that was kind of funny. Because it's so ridiculous, you know, because it's like the machine does recognize this is your thumbprint. But it's not the one it wants.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the future we're heading into here, Yahel. This movie is kind of very fortuitous, if you will. So anyway, Dr. Weird and the thugs, they grab Lenny. And again, I just wrote that it's so weird that they use an ice cream truck and creepy. It's like all they do is use it to take over orphanages. So Mr. Frost tells Lenny he wants Santa with muscles gone. So Lenny then tries to get Hulk to leave the orphanage, but he won't. Hulk goes into the church where the annoying orphan girl, I should really learn her name, the one who was the lead and who was about to not be the lead anymore, is just sitting and really creepily singing to herself. Like no one is there. She's like just sitting in the pew, just like singing to no one. And then Hulk says he doesn't remember if he has a mom or a dad, because
he says she asked him if he has a mom and dad. And he says, well, I must, but I can't remember.
Right. And then we're treated to the worst duet in singing history when Hulk and the girl sing this like weird made up Christmas song. And
I guess
then
Santa Angel Baby, I think is what it's called.
It's so creepy. And then there's some weird lights that shine on the stained glass windows of the church. And also in this scene, before they get into the duet, she says something about what is it, the fairies or something shining in the lights of the church, or the angels?
She says that like if she sings it, she says something about like if she sings it right, she thinks like the fairies would, I don't know, activate or something. But then she kind of drops that, and then as they continue talking, she says that they say that the windows are magic,
right?
And if she sings just right, that they'll activate or whatever. And at the end of the song, she hits an obscenely high note, and then the window turns like purple, and it seems like something's about to happen. The purple's getting more saturated in the window, and then cut to the next scene, and this is never brought up again.
Well, this is a setup to something that happens later in a weird way. Like, let's just say the writer's room really dropped the ball here. Like, they couldn't decide if the windows were magic or if there were magical fairies in the windows. It's like, come on, guys,
by the way,
get it together.
This is a Christian church. Should there be dark black magic windows?
I mean, I was offended. I hope you were.
Yeah. The war on Christmas, Steve, it continues.
Well, anyway, speaking of continuing,
or Christ Mass, as I call it.
Got to put the Christ back in Christmas, boy.
Yeah, because I love Christ, and Mas means more in Spanish, and I'm Spanish, and I want more Christ. That's why I call it Christ.
Thank you for reminding our audience that you're Spanish.
Yeah. Anyways,
sorry
if I offended everyone. Yep. all you happy holiday wishers. You anti-Christmas warrior. There's no war on Christmas, everybody. There's no war.
So
I don't want somebody to like take me out of context and be like, I don't think there's a war on Christmas.
I think our strong but small audience has a good sense of humor, which is why they keep showing up. But anyway, so Hulk goes out to confront the thugs, and the doctor kicks his ass a little bit. Which was, I mean, completely unrealistic, but Hulk sells for him, surprisingly. I'm surprised he didn't go to the director and was like, this doesn't work for me, brother. but it still happens. And Hulk fires back, but then they drive away in their ice cream truck. Is this when they use the chain to rip the head off of that statue?
I believe so.
Yeah.
They're just trying to terrorize the orphanage.
Right. So I guess annoying blonde-haired girl, maybe she wasn't available for a few other scenes. And this is when we're kind of introduced. I think we were introduced to him earlier, but he kind of takes center stage here. Taylor, the youngest brother from Malcolm in the Middle. He's watching Hulk and the thugs like sort of exchange blows, and then we're told that he goes missing, and it's so weird because he's there. Everyone goes, "Where's Taylor?" And I'm like, "Who's Taylor?" And I guess it's just a reason to get Hulk to go to Mr. Frost's mansion. So that's what he does. Hulk and Lenny both infiltrate the mansion. Hulk stops Taylor from firing a slingshot at Frost, and this is when they kind of try to have a little moment where little Taylor says he wants to be like tough, like Hulk. Right. Hulk says he's only tough when he has to be, beating up thugs. This is
your good message that they're trying to send to kids. Like, hey, violence isn't the answer. Except when it is.
Exactly. Yeah. Knowing is half the battle. The other half is violence. Absolutely.
Yeah. The other half is murder.
Right. Back at the orphanage, Hulk asks what's underneath the orphanage, because when he was at Frost's mansion, he sees like the plans and stuff inside Frost's like secret lair, which isn't really that secret if you can just go up to a window and like fire a slingshot, and this is, I love it because like this is when stuff gets even weirder, and it sort of jumps into like Goonies territory, and we're just like sort of casually told by Leslie, the head of the orphanage, that there's catacombs underneath the orphanage. So they go to these catacombs, and there's like a vault with a combination on it or something. And the kids know most of the numbers, and then magically out of nowhere, and I guess we sort of get a reason why later, Hulk knows the rest of it. And we definitely
get a reason why. But yeah, and even Hulk, his character says, "I don't know why I know that." So at least like, so Steve, please don't make it sound like it was just some random thing.
Well,
Steve.
all right. Reading these notes that were written by the Steve who hadn't seen this movie all the way through, I was just like, wow, they're just throwing out all logic, and Hulk is just so good at doing everything that he just knows it because he's just the Hulk and he knows everything. But yeah, they do have a reason later. So they go into the door, and apparently it's like crystals or something, quartz crystals that somehow have electricity stored up in them.
Mila Kunis gives us some technobabble explanation that would make the writers of Star Trek blush with its stupidity, its vapidity, and I love it because it makes no sense. Like you said, they're crystals that store energy or electricity.
So you have to believe her because she's a strong, smart woman.
She's the smart one. She's the smart one. But then like they figure out that it must be worth millions of dollars, millions and millions of dollars. And now we know why Ebner Frost wants to, is buying all this land, right? Because there's like apparently these caverns that have all these crystals that he could theoretically, I guess, harness for energy and sell.
Yes, yeah. There's your answer right there.
I like to call though this cavern like the RC Cola version of the Fortress of Solitude.
How dare you talk down to RC Cola? It's actually one of my favorites. But you know that. We discussed it last episode.
I'm going to find a way to talk it down.
Oh, man. So, yeah. And at this point, Hulk starts questioning if he's actually Santa.
Finally. Yeah. Now, Lenny has had to reassure him a few times throughout the movie, where Hulk will be like, well, if I'm Santa, how are the kids going to get their presents if I'm like here and not at the North Pole, blah, blah. And Lenny's always finds a way to like smooth it over.
Yeah, except for this time when he actually just goes, I don't know. Or it's like he says he doesn't have the answers. And I just wrote down, you do have the answers, Lenny, you liar. So Mr. Frost calls Lenny and tells him he has to...
But wait a minute.
What's up?
Doesn't Lenny at this point kind of confess to him that he found them at the mall?
Yeah.
And he pulls out like the military fatigues that he was wearing, and he says, because he doesn't know it's paint on the military fatigues from paintball, he says, yeah, I found you wearing these, I found these with you. There was blood on them, and I don't ask too many questions. Yeah. So, like, this whole time, Lenny thinks he may be a murderer.
Right.
And he's just hanging out with them, letting him be around
kids. They shared
like,
the same room together. Like,
yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. But, hey, he really likes money. He's just a lovable elf who's not very funny and loves money. So, yeah, Mr. Frost calls Lenny, I guess tells him that he has to be sneaky about taking down Hulk. Then Dr. Weird Guy shows up. Hulk chases him around. They fight in a bell tower. And immediately I'm asked, as the viewer, which that's what I was asking myself, why is there a mechanical Santa in the bell tower? Like, you wouldn't even be able to see it. But I guess they really want to drive their theme home with the Santa stuff.
Yeah, well, it's for like that spot.
Right.
I say spot, it's a wrestling match.
Spot, the wrestling spot where the mechanical Santa somehow grabs Hulk and throws him out of the tower into a trash truck.
Right.
And I was like,
right, like
when it happened, I was like, wow, I did not see that coming. Like,
but I think this is one of the shots where I don't think it was they used a helicopter because it would have been flying too low, but they must have had a very extremely large crane for the shots, because like they do like a shot like going up the tower and into it. And those shots, especially then, not cheap. Now you can just do it with a drone, pretty inexpensively. But yeah, I was just like, wow.
They really knew where to put their money from the budget in this film.
Yeah. And there's a couple other crane shots too, like in the beginning of the film when Susie is doing her letter. There's a crane shot going into her room.
Right.
Anyway, I digress.
So Hulk blacks out and wakes up in his mansion. And then you have that classic sort of, I don't know, scene where he's like, oh, was it all a dream? And then he takes off his blanket and he's still wearing his Santa suit. Nobody bothered to take it off, like, and make sure he's okay or take him to the hospital or anything like that. And this is Hulk dials the operator to check out the orphanage. And the thugs make it sound like, Leslie tells him to stay away forever. Yeah, they use a tape recorder a la Home Alone 2, and just take bits of stuff that Leslie, the head of the orphanage, has said, and it makes it sound like she's telling Hulk to stay away forever, which of course he doesn't. So now cut to the orphanage. Everyone is sad that Hulk is gone. Then the thugs show up with Mr. Frost this time. He's seeing this one personally. And we never even talked about how Mr. Frost's gimmick, his like pulpy gimmick, is that he's like obsessed with everything being sanitized.
Yeah, he's like a huge germaphobe.
Yeah. And he's wearing like this almost like an astronaut suit as he shows up.
With his own oxygen supply, so that he doesn't have to breathe in like everyone else's.
Right, he's breathing in rarefied air, literally. So they take the kids to the vault with the crystals to make them open it up. And I think there's another plot hole here that they sort of noticed, and they were like, oh, we'll just open it and you don't need us anymore. You don't need us kids anymore. And he goes, and Mr. Frost is like, oh, but I do. It starts putting hard hats on him. He's going to force the kids to mine the crystals. That's so messed up. Oh my God.
It's great. It's great though.
Yeah. And then they reveal Lenny to be a traitor. And all he did was let them in. Like they showed them blowing a door up in like one of the previous scenes of the orphanage, and yet they still needed Lenny to just let them in.
I think they needed Lenny to guide them to where the caverns were, is what I think. And maybe they didn't, or maybe the combination, he gave them the combination.
I guess. Let's see. So
look, Lenny's a traitor. That's all we
That's
know.
all you need. Yeah. Meanwhile, Hulk's baker tries to attack him, but he's all feeling down and melancholy, and he's like, it's just not the same. And then Lenny calls him, and then the doc takes over and tells him if he shows up, he'll use Lenny for an experiment. So, of course, Hulk rallies his troops, and then they go once again. He like gets his entire motorcade of like paintball guys. They zoom past Clint.
So his servants,
right,
Gardner,
his servants, yes,
Butler and Chef. They're all coming along.
But I mean, ride. The thing that I like best about his group of servants is just the diversity among them. Everyone's represented. But I mean that's actually terrible. But anyway, so once again, Clint Howard chases after Hulk and his men. And once again, Hulk gives him the slip. Like, you know what I thought was going to happen here? Like, okay, so we're basically in the third act, like the beginning of the third act here. And Hulk has gone through, meeting with the orphans and whatnot. And so why didn't he just stop, tell Clint Howard the situation, and they all team up and go to and rescue
well, because then you don't have a movie.
What? No, you do have a movie. Like everybody can
but it's not as fun. Like there's some fun gags that come up with like the stupid his chef like tricking like the bad guys to let him in with like hors d'oeuvres.
Oh God.
There's some stupid stuff that comes up.
Then they could have just avoided the whole second chase to begin with. But then we don't get to see a guy with a bazooka blow up Clint Howard's car.
Yeah,
but
and that's another thing. They blew up a car.
Yeah, it's
like I'm shocked. Like they spent money on that.
But yeah, I mean, basically the thing here is I'm just like, he's still acting like the same Blake Thorne after going through, all the trials and tribulations of becoming Santa with muscles, and it just doesn't. As far as a character arc is concerned, it just doesn't make sense.
Well, I will say I do have a good reason for him to not team up with the police. He knows that they're extremely incompetent.
I thought you were gonna say
right, as established.
Yeah, I guess. Or it would have been even better if they were like in line with Mr. Frost, like corrupt. Like that would have even been better.
Oh yeah, that would have been good. That would have been.
Anyway, we're already spending too much time on this. So we talked about the bazooka. They blow up Clint Howard's cruiser. Why a small town police force needs a bazooka, I don't know, but they do. They arrive at the orphanage and try to reverse Home Alone their way in by hooking a door to their car battery. And they knock on the door. The thug from inside looks through the peephole, and as Yahel said, one of the bakers has hors d'oeuvres. So of course, I mean, I guess this guy was really hungry. I can only assume, Mr. Frost doesn't give him a lunch break or any 15-minute breaks, and he's just like, food. And he grabs the doorknob and is automatically killed. I can only assume
he's electrocuted.
To death.
He's electrocuted when he touches the doorknob because they had hooked up the battery from the car to it, and you don't know, that might kill this man. You don't know if he has a heart condition.
So Hulk saves the kids, and he admits that he's not really Santa. Hulk gives a fire extinguisher to Taylor, and they spray one of the thugs, the gas guy, and his suit like blows up. Like it doesn't like blow up, but it expands.
They inflate it.
Yeah.
They inflate the suit, and then it like pops
because of his
something.
own gas. And then basically what we're going through here is they're taking care of all the pulp thugs, and he was the first one. And then now Hulk battles Miss Watt, and this is the best, like the most insulting thing possible when the white guy with the Fu Manchu comes out and makes
that white guy is Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Oh, that's perfect for him. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so he came out dressed as an Asian guy, like kind of. They wanted him to like
kung fu kind of cliche.
I was just like, ugh.
Yeah,
that
doesn't age well.
Not hold up
doesn't age well.
And he even does like the Yokozuna type stomps on the floor like a sumo wrestler would.
Right. Do you think they brought in Yokozuna to consult on that?
Considering Yokozuna wasn't Japanese either, that wouldn't be a good idea because he's Samoan.
They just wanted to hang out with him. That's all.
So it's just like they didn't. Not only were they like doing this like awful stereotype thing, but they also didn't even like they pulled from like different Asian cultures.
Right.
Like it wasn't even just a singular.
Oh
one,
yeah,
so
it was insulting to all Asian cultures.
By the way, but can we talk about how they take out Miss Watt? Because I think they take her out first. And
I don't know why. Yeah, they just pour water on her.
Lenny from the top,
thus killing her, of course.
Right, he like electrocutes her, and then as she flips, this is in the church, this scene.
The church,
and she flips backwards over several pews when she's electrocuted to death, and they sped that up hilariously, the footage, and real weird. A lot of murder starting to happen.
Yeah, I mean, of course, spoiler alert, they show pretty much everyone to be alive.
Everyone's alive at the end.
But as I was watching this, I was like, damn, she ain't coming back. That's it. She's done. And there's also a line where she goes, you wouldn't hit I think it's actually before she gets the water pulled. She's like, you wouldn't hit a woman, would you? And then Lenny goes, I would, and then pours water on her. So Hulk rescues Leslie and Clayton, and then Clayton reminds that this is a weird time to kind of have a moment, but Clayton reminds him that he grew up there and that he and Dr. Frost were actually friends. And this reminded me of remember the movie Unbreakable with Bruce Willis and I'm like, wow, this really is pulpy. So the doctor is all right, I'm just going to tell you what I wrote here and you tell me if it makes sense. The doctor is pulling up his pants, presumably after masturbating this whole time, and then Leslie confronts him. It was Dr. Weird. It was Dr. Weird. And then she
not Frost.
And then she and the kids lock him in an ice box, thus killing him.
Yep.
So that all that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Hulk meets Frost in the catacombs. the explorer guy cracks the code of the vault. That's like the one pulp thug that's still alive. Earlier in the film, he says that he can crack the vault, like no problem. And and then they go into the vault. Frost attacks Hulk with a giant crystal, and of course Hulk gets his own crystal. And then they have
Then they have the greatest lightsaber battle
outside of Star Wars. Yeah, it actually looks kind of neat. Hulk loses his crystal, and then Taylor saves him with the slingshot, which I thought was a nice payoff to the setup of Taylor having a slingshot. So yeah, and that's when I question. There's also on the IMDb, like one of the few pieces of trivia is that I guess the original writer of this movie, and I don't know if it's one of the guys that I mentioned, sued to have his name taken off the script because they changed so much. So I wonder if there was like a movie that made sense in here at one point, and then they just shoveled in all this like crazy crap that doesn't really make any sense. So for some reason, the crystals are going to explode. Again, explained to us by science nerd Mila Kunis. Hulk saves Frost. They run out of the vaults, out of the orphanage. All the thugs are shown to still be alive. Oh, thank goodness. And then a cardboard model of the orphanage is then destroyed. And then along comes Clint Howard and the rest of the cops. Oh, did you want to say something?
Oh, I actually thought the miniature was both really good and terrible at the same time.
I agree.
Like it looked pretty good. Once it started breaking down, though, it was kind of like, there's like no furniture in it or anything like that. So it like
that's one poor orphanage.
Yeah. But I thought like they shot it well. It's just there needed to be a little bit more details in the inside the miniature, just to like pull it off.
Well, they had to grind this sucker out. Like there was a high demand for Hulk Hogan movies in 1996, and they just had to get it going. So the reporter from earlier, she shows up. Also, all the thugs are put into a, I don't think it was a police official paddy wagon, and taken away. Then all the kids laugh. I wrote more fake laughter, like the worst forced fake laughter I've ever heard. And then Leslie asks where they're going to live now. Cut to all the kids are having a good time on Hulk's property. They look through a telescope. This was so convenient. They look through a telescope to show all the thugs in a prison chain gang style like uniform.
They're doing like hard labor at the prison.
Yeah, that was pretty hilarious, just in a cartoony, pulpy way. And and then that is basically the end of Santa with Muscles, and we never got that Santa with Muscles trilogy that I'm sure they were planning when they wrote this thing.
Yeah, that was it's a ride.
Anything to add?
And by the way,
go ahead.
Santa with Muscles is available for free on YouTube
and Tubi.
I did post. Oh, it's on Tubi. I did not know that. I watched it on YouTube. So I will post the link to it on YouTube. I did earlier, but I'll post it again. And obviously, Tubi will probably have better quality. So Tubi TV is free as well.
Yes.
So
yeah. Now that we've spoiled it all for you, definitely check it out. So I guess this is the point where it's time to answer the question. Let's see. I wrote a few notes here just after I finished watching it. I think they've all been pretty much addressed. Like, most of the negatives we already talked about, like the cinematography, the direction. The sound was good, at least. So let's go ahead and run the bumper here.
Remember, you're rated. That is the question.
All right. Yahel Velazquez. Do you think that Santa with Muscles should be remembered for all of time, or even just watched every year with your other Christmas movies? Or should it be tossed into the pit of obscurity, never to be heard from again?
Well, you probably know my answer because I watch this movie every year. So I like it. I think it's definitely not a good movie, but I think it's a fun movie to watch. I think it's bad enough to be good. So I'm gonna say yes. It should be remembered.
Man, this is a tough one for me. I think everyone will remember Hulk mostly for No Holds Barred. This is a sort of a fun oddity. The filmmaking was pretty awful, though. I think this is worth a stalemate because I'm never gonna watch this again.
Fuck you.
So yes,
it's because I said and it made one RC Cola joke.
And that has nothing to do with you. It's just how I feel about the film. All right.
Well, Steve, this is your decision is the RC Cola of decisions on the show, as far as I'm concerned.
Bastard.
It's just in, those pathetic podcasters known as Obscurity Now have once again rendered a verdict of no contest. That's right, a stalemate. They've wasted everyone's time. They are just as lazy as Congress and twice as corrupt. Boo, I say, tar and feather 'em. Get out the guillotine. Boo to stalemate and boo to Obscurity Now.
Whew. All right, man. What a ride.
I had never seen the stalemate bumper before. I don't think we had gotten to use it.
What'd you think?
Oh, it's great.
Thanks. Well, I mean, I did...
Almost makes your terrible decision-making worth it.
Well, I did have a fun time chatting about Santa with Muscles with you, and I hope the listener/viewer has stuck to the end and enjoyed watching it with us. Join us next week where we'll... Gosh, why can't I talk? We will be having a wrap-up episode for the year of 2021, because it was just such a great year.
another great one in the books, 2020 and 2021. Chef's kiss.
Yeah, absolutely. Until then, make sure you like and subscribe and share with all your friends. That would help out immensely.
Steve, before you I'm sorry to interrupt your start off, but I do want to point out Chris Perry in the chat said, "Thanks for ruining Christmas, Steve."
Chris, buddy, I think it was already ruined long before I came along. But
sorry, continue.
But yeah, make sure you like and subscribe, all that great stuff. Tell all your friends about this show so they can know more about great films such as Santa with Muscles, and of course comic books like Chainsaw Reindeer, which has multiple reindeer rape in it. I mean, it just wouldn't be Christmas without it. Am I right?
Why bring this back up?
I mean, if these people...
You are ruining Christmas. There is a war. As Chris Perry just said, the war does exist on Christmas, and it's you, Steve, who are at the front of the line.
I will destroy Christmas, and no one can stop me. Not Chainsaw Reindeer, not Santa with Muscles, and definitely not you, Yahel Velazquez. Now that's quality acting. I guess we should talk about our projects briefly. Everything going good with Wrestling with Gaming over there, good buddy?
Yeah. I'm working on a couple scripts right now. So something new. I'm trying kind of have work on 2 scripts at the same time, and then once they're done, be able to like edit 2 videos back to back to kind of see how that works for my workflow and get some content out in a little different cadence. So
interesting, very cool. As we discussed when we were off the air, somehow I found myself acting in another one of my friend's short films. It should be pretty cool. There's actually a lot of action on par with Santa with Muscles, if not a little bit higher. I guess we'll have to wait and see when it comes out. And of course, production still continues on Escape to Earth. I have a feeling the artist is on vacation because I haven't heard from him in like 2 weeks. But once we get this Christmas out of the way, then I will complete the comic and take over the world. And on that note, I think we should wrap it up here. We'll see you guys next week for another episode of Obscurity Now. Merry Christmas!
You've been enjoying Obscurity Now, a podcast that's recorded live to tape and streamed to Twitch and YouTube. Subscribe so you never miss an episode or hilarious quip. Take us with you by following the download links provided in the show notes to wherever you get podcasts. And take notice of our various social media links if that's what you're into. I'm not here to judge. And make sure you join us live next week at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific as we continue to discuss more obscure media only on Obscurity Now.